Hi, and welcome to One Simple Recipe, where we're hoping to get you one step closer to better health. My name is Judy Matusky, and I'm a registered and licensed dietitian, as well as a culinary nutritionist with Athens Nutrition. And today it is the easiest. I think you're going to love summer dessert. And it's so color themed for the upcoming 4th of July holiday. So let's get started. It is so easy. This has been a family favorite for years. I've been making it since my kids were really little, and they are no longer little. So this has been going on in our family, and I've done it a couple of different ways. There's a lot of riffs for this. You can elevate it or not. I like to keep it as simple as possible because that's kind of the whole point. All right, so what we're basically using is an angel food cake that I baked, and I will talk a little bit about that. We are going to use some fresh strawberries. I've got a pint of blueberries that's going to go in. We are going to use some vanilla pudding that I made ahead of time. Talk about that. And also some Cool Whip, which you might go, Cool Whip, but you're a dietitian, and we'll talk about that. Okay, so, and then you're just layering it. I've got this nice, you're going to want to get a nice glass bowl. It could be something like this. Is more like for trifles. You could just use a big glass, but you want it to be glass because you want to be able to see it, because that's where you get kind of the oohs and ahs when you bring it to the summer barbecue or wherever you're going. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with this. So let me just move some of this off to the side. Let's first start. We'll start just by talking about this angel food cake. All right, so in making this dessert, you've got it's kind of like three levels or three tiers of how easy you want this to be. You can buy angel food cake already made in the supermarket. Fine. I don't always find it though. There used to be more available. I can't always find it. Maybe you have a bakery that's making it. So that is probably the easiest. So if you can just buy a pre-made angel food cake, you're good to go. The next level up would be to actually make it from a box mix, which is what I did. So I picked just a box mix from my supermarket, which happens to be Acme. You just add water, you kind of mix it together, and then you're going to bake it. Now, I happen to have an angel food cake pan. So this is my angel food cake was baked yesterday in this. If you don't have an angel food cake pan, there's directions on the box. You can do it in loaf pans. You can do it in you have other options. So you don't have to go out and buy one, because we're not going to use this cake as an angel food cake and serving it in its full form. We're tearing it apart and putting it in this little layered pudding trifle. So it doesn't really need to be made in an angel food cake pan. This I baked yesterday. Good. You can do some of these things the day ahead. You can assemble this the day ahead and serve it the next day. So that's what's nice about this dish. So that was done. The pudding, you can certainly, again, level one is to buy instant pudding, and then you got it made in an instant. I just don't love the flavor of that as much as the one that you actually have to cook. So I got the largest box. This is what, 6 ounces, 4.6 ounces of pudding mix. And then I just use a low-fat milk, cooked it over the stove. Literally, it takes 5 minutes. It's not even that hard. I made it yesterday. You know, here it is. I just have it in a container ready to go for our layering. I think it's better. I think when you're making these boxed pudding mixes, to have them kind of taste a little bit more maybe homemade, using like a low-fat milk, a 2%, or if you wanted to use whole milk, that's fine. I think when you go to fat-free milk, it's a little too sweet for me. So I think the milk, the little bit of milk fat is fine in this dessert. It's a dessert, you know. It is lighter and healthier than most desserts, but I think you do want a little bit of a low fat or even whole milk to make your pudding, just to give it a little bit of creaminess, and it keeps it from being so sweet. So that you make ahead of time. So all right, so you can get your angel food cake at the supermarket already made. Use that. You can buy the box mix. You can do it. If you really want to be adventurous, you can certainly make your own homemade angel food cake, which I have done many times. I just don't do it very often because it does take a little time, and you end up with 12 egg yolks that you don't know what to do with because it only takes egg whites. And we'll talk some about the nutrition of angel food cake in a little bit. The next level, that would be level 3. So I said there's kind of like the easiest, then the mid-level, and then one if you want to get more involved. You could make your own vanilla custard and make your own whipped cream. Obviously you can, but I think the whole point of this is just using some store-bought items to really help put together a relatively light and relatively healthy-ish, summer dessert. All right, so there we go. And then the strawberries, I used about a container. This is like 16 ounces or 32 ounces. So this is a pretty large container of strawberries. I don't know if we'll use all of them in making this. That's what I started with. I just sliced them and have them ready so we can make it easier for layering. Most often I make this dessert with frozen strawberries. I just get them a big bag frozen. I even take them frozen from the freezer as I'm making it, and then especially if I'm going to make it early in the day and we're having it later, or we're even having it the next day, then that gives it time for those strawberries to defrost. So that's even the easiest to do if you wanted to just use frozen strawberries. But because it's really kind of strawberry season right now, I thought I would go ahead and use fresh. There is a little difference in the texture of the pudding or this trifle if you're using fresh versus frozen strawberries. So frozen strawberries get soft. So the whole eating experience is a little bit softer and creamier, which is actually my preference for this. Our family kind of goes either way. Some of them like them with the fresh berries because it gives it more texture rather than the soft frozen berries that when they defrost, they're certainly softer. All right, so we've got our bowl, and now it's just a matter of layering. The final thing we'll talk about is the Cool Whip, and we're gonna so here's the angel food cake. So angel food cake, again, you're mixing it together, pouring it in an angel food cake pan or in a loaf pans. I think it's 2, like 9 by 5 loaf pans, and you're baking it. It doesn't take that long. And then you just don't want to grease any of your pans, not at all, because you want this to get height and it won't rise if your pans are like sprayed or greased. So you go ungreased angel food cake pan, taking it out. Here it is. It's actually pretty gorgeous. And angel food cake is kind of nice because it's just made with egg whites. So there's actually no fat at all in angel food cake, which is kind of interesting. It is on the sweeter side, obviously, but it's just egg whites, really, and some sugar. That's about it. I mean, there's a few other things, but there's not much to it. So it is nice. I think if you're trying to make a little bit of a lighter dessert, this is a nice alternative to like a pound cake, which is often used in trifles if you're doing any kind of layering. You could, or ladyfingers, sometimes they're used, but this is just a nice lighter alternative to those kinds of cakes, which are a little bit richer. All right, so here we have a layer of our angel food cake. And I have a recipe online for this. There's not really a recipe. You're just gonna tear some of the angel and we're gonna layer it. And you can layer it in any order you want. I usually do angel food cake. I don't even know if I say I usually. I probably go back and forth, but usually angel food cake, I guess, and then I think the next thing I'll do something creamy, so I'll use some of this pudding. I'm just gonna stir it up. And I use it, this was a large box, like I said, and I used 3 cups of milk, and I just followed the directions. Like I said, it took all of 5 minutes. If you wanted your pudding to be a little thinner, you could add more milk when you're making it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It depends. Either way would be fine. You could make it a little bit thinner so it's more like a pudding sauce. I wouldn't make it too thin, or just go ahead and just make it as a pudding. So we're probably going to do this we're probably going to get 3 layers. So you're kind of do maybe 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 of your ingredients, just so that you can, so you have enough. Because sometimes that's the hardest thing, is judging. Like, how much do I use so I have enough to layer it all together? And I'd say it's probably do it in thirds. That works pretty well. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the strawberries. And I'm not going to, you could take the slices and then put them down along the side like that. So you really can see them, and you can create a design. Honestly, because this is the whole idea of this is a really fast and easy dessert, and it all tastes the same and still looks great. I don't typically do that. Although now that I did 1 layer, I guess I should just kind of finish the layer, and I'll go all the way around. But I just usually layer them in here. And like I said, most of the time I'm using frozen strawberries when I make this, or I might even do a combination. It just depends on the season. Like later in the summer, strawberries aren't that great locally. So that's when I'll just go ahead and use the frozen. All right, so we're gonna get some in there. The whole point though is when you're layering is you do wanna be able to see these strawberries, and you want to see the different colors from, you know, the side of the container. And now I'm just going to take some of the strawberries, probably like a third of those, and just make sure you get some on the outer edge so you can see them, and then some in the middle. All right, and here's our, you know, our red, white, and blue. And then the final thing, which we're going to do is, and this, I don't always do this. So I usually do use just a lighter version of Cool Whip. You can't really use the one in the canister. It will then just dissolve. It'll melt almost, like it gets liquidy, where the Cool Whip does not. No, is this the healthiest? No. I mean, making homemade whipped cream, I don't know from a health perspective is even any better. I think these are just things that you use once in a while, and sometimes you want to, when you're doing something quick and easy. No harm in using some store-bought things like Cool Whip, in my opinion. Now, you could just do straight Cool Whip, but I was going to show you an alternative to that, and that is, sometimes I will do this, is you just take the Cool Whip, and here's just a little hack to make it maybe just a little bit healthier if you're really inclined to do it, but if not, go ahead, just use the straight Cool Whip as you're layering. But we'll take that container of Cool Whip, and then I'm going to use some, you could use plain yogurt, or you could use vanilla yogurt. I have vanilla, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. And then we're going to do kind of almost half and half. And why I like to do this is that because a lot of these ingredients are sweet, they're just sweet. You know, angel food cake's pretty sweet, the pudding's sweet, the Cool Whip is pretty sweet. That when you mix it with a little yogurt, it kind of, again, it kind of cuts through all that sweetness, because you're not going to get a lot of tang or anything from this, but you'll get a slight tang from the addition of the pudding. I mean, of the yogurt. It could be, like I said, vanilla yogurt, or it could be plain, mixed in. So I like that. You could do this with just vanilla yogurt if you wanted to, or if you really wanted it less sweet, you could do it probably with just plain yogurt and skip if you don't want to do the Cool Whip, that's fine. But we really like it that way. All right, so, but I have been going more towards this mix of the yogurt with the Cool Whip, because I do like that flavor. All right, so here we're going to add this in. And the one thing with the Cool Whip, you do want to make sure you have enough to finish at the top. So you kind of have to judge that, because we're going to do like a little dolloping at the end. So you need to have a little extra of that left over. All right, so there's our, you know what, this might only end up being 2 layers, we'll see. It depends on the size of your glass bowl. I have one downstairs that's a little bit larger than this, that I'll usually make when I'm making this for a crowd. And then sometimes I'll kind of double the recipe a little bit. I'll make a little bit more of everything, just so I have enough to get up all the layers. It really does depend on the size, but this is going to make a pretty decent trifle. All right, so again, just tearing your angel food cake for this next level. And now we'll put those strawberries in. Again, trying to get those so that we can see them off to the side, because you definitely want that visual appeal here to this dessert, particularly since, although, yeah, I guess I can see my blueberries. They got a little bit hidden. All right, let's add some more blueberries. Make sure they're coming in on the side. And again, it's kind of nice when you're doing a summer dessert. It is always nice if you can add some fruit. I mean, get fruit as part of your dessert. That's the one way to make it just a little bit healthier, in the sense that it's lighter, and it's a good way to just get your fruit in over the summer. And since fruit's just so delicious this time of the year, why not, right? You could do this. Now, the nice thing about this, like I said, you can kind of riff on this and kind of make it your own, depending on your flavor preferences. So if you like chocolate pudding, do chocolate pudding. I don't typically do it that way, but it would be great, I'm sure. You could do another flavor of pudding if you wanted to. You could do different fruits. You could do mangoes, you could do peaches, you could do nectarines. You could change this up any way you'd like. It's whatever, combinations you like. Typically, you're probably gonna use the angel food cake, and then you're gonna do the pudding in different flavors, and then some sort of either whipped cream or some type of or yogurt if you decide to do that. But those are the main ingredients that you need, but you can change it. You can certainly change up the flavor. All right, so it looks like we're gonna get two layers in this particular bowl. This is, like I said, this is a little smaller than the one that I typically use, but I thought it would work with the ingredients that we have. So we're using up all of our pudding. All right. And now I'm going to put a couple of strawberries on top. So we're just kind of going off the layering here a little bit. I'm going to add a couple of strawberries to finish this because I have so many sliced, so I might as well put more in. I think I like the more fruit, the better, in my opinion. All right, so there we have that. Now what you're going to try to do here, I'm out of blueberries, but if I had a few more blueberries, you could kind of sprinkle those on top. So now you have some of this whipped cream and the Cool Whip kind of together. And then you're just going to want to take little dollops of it and just dollop the top, right? Just to finish it off, just to make it, again, look, presentation here, right? So add that in. Little sprig of mint, a couple of mint leaves would be beautiful on top here too. Don't have them right handy, but we could. And then what I did was I saved some strawberries, and these can be, you can save the whole frozen strawberries too to put them on top because they stay intact when they defrost. So I pulled out a few regular strawberries that I didn't slice, and then you're just gonna put them in the little dollops of the whipped cream on top. I think I did 5 there. And there it is. There's this unbelievably gorgeous, super easy, feeds a crowd. I mean, this is big, even though I did 2 layers. This is actually really big, but again, like I said, my other one's even bigger than this. And you'll just cover this with saran wrap, and then you'll have it, if you're using frozen strawberries, I make it early in the morning. If you're going to have it later in the day, just to give it time for those frozen strawberries to defrost. You could do it the day before and serve it the next day. That's still going to be fine, even with frozen strawberries. Or this I could have made now. I could be serving this tomorrow. We just happen to be having some people coming over tonight, so we're going to have this for dessert. The only thing is, and it lasts several days in the refrigerator for sure once you serve it. If it's frozen strawberries, you do get a little liquid that kind of comes off the frozen strawberries, so it gets a little bit more liquidy as it sits over a couple of days. Still tastes great, but if you're using the fresh strawberries, then it doesn't. You won't get that liquid that will get pulled off of the berries. The only other quick tip is that when it comes to using blueberries, I don't use frozen blueberries. Just because I feel like their texture when they get defrost, it's just a little bit, they get like kind of tough sometimes, unless you can get some great frozen blueberries. So if you're using blueberries, then I would do the fresh blueberries, even if you're using frozen strawberries. All right, red, white, and blueberry trifle for your 4th of July holiday, or for actually any summer holiday. I make this all year round, even because, again, frozen strawberries, you can do it any time of the year, but this is a great time to get, to use the fresh berries because they're in season. All right, stay well. Happy 4th of July. Hope you have a great holiday planned, and I will be back in about 2 weeks because we'll be away, but we're going to try to sneak a really fun cooking demo. We're going to talk about some grilling tips. All right, so we'll see you in maybe 2 weeks. Stay well until then. Talk soon. Bye-bye.